So you've just created a drum groove that sounds like this. And now you want to take it to something that sounds like this. In today's video, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on how to get your drum sounds to sound more full, to get them to sound complex using very simple methods. So let's dive straight into the video. I've prepared a short little loop for you here. Simple 4 to the floor groove. Set the BPM to 119 for a down tempo-ish type vibe. And if we play the loop, it sounds like this. Really simple 4 to the floor groove with a kick, hat, and 2 clap layers. What do we do now? How do we take this little loop into the next phase? Tip number 1, by adding a MIDI track right underneath the chord drums, grouping that, naming that 16ths. So what we're basically creating now is a 16th groove that accompanies the basic 4 to the floor groove that we have already established here. So I'm going to select the 8 bars that we're in now, Control-Shift-M, right click, head into 16th notes. Now we can start drawing in our 16th notes. We can also zoom in a bit like this. There we go. So we have our first little 16th section here, and we're going to duplicate that until the end of our groove. Exit the panel and fill in the sounds. We can either start off with a perk sound, or we can also start off with a high frequency sound like a shaker. And therefore, I'm going to move into the free Azar and MIDI's Organic Beta Pack. Drums, one shots, and let's look for organic perks. High. We can re-enter the panel and shift our shakers or our 16th groove up an octave. Then we can readjust the time over here. Cool. Now we have a pretty stale 16th groove. It does sound a bit more full. It sounds a bit more energetic, but it still sounds very monotonous. What we can do to change the staleness of the groove of the 16th pattern over here is double click it. So we re-enter this window over here, and you can see these velocity changes down here. And what I'd like to do is hit Command or Control, depending on your operating system. And then you can draw in this line over here. So you create a little wave, and you can also change this to look something like this. And you can see some notes turn darker than the others. So then I'm going to copy this little section over here, zoom out, and duplicate that till the end. How does it sound now? There's a bit more groove to the small perk sound. And you can always replace the perk sound with another one. Can change the start time of the sample. You can always change these parameters over here, the decay and sustain, to shorten the sound up. Let's choose another one. I actually like this one. It's like a nice and perky sound in the background. So I'm going to add another EQ now to emphasize some harmonics or emphasize some resonant frequencies. So we get some more tonality, and then we can also add a delay, ping pong. Add an auto pan to make the sound move from left to right. Cool. You can also duplicate this pattern over here, delete the effects, and replace the sound with, let's say, another one. You can also pitch this sound a bit. So let's go into this panel over here, transpose it up. Or transpose it down. And you can also change the groove. So if you want this to move the other way around, you could hit Control or Command and then draw this type of groove, right? So now it's moving in the opposite direction. We can duplicate this small section over here. What you can also do is pan this to the right or pan this to the left. Do the same for this little pattern over here, hit an EQ. So the loop does still sound a bit boring. We could add a bit more variation to the groove by adding a delay to the hi-hat. And Ableton has this very, very nice effect called echo. So I'm going to go into Audio Effects Echo, and under the Clean Delay Presets panel, you have this preset called 8.ball. And we're going to just load that into the hi-hat layer. You can hear that it's pretty random still. And to change that random factor, we can decrease the feedback a bit here and decrease the dry wet. You can also change the rhythm from a dotted one to a triplet rhythm. Change it to notes. That's cool. You can also change it to 16th. Very nice. You can also unlink these, so you can individually adjust the left and the right panel. This is really great if you want to create off-grid rhythms. You can also change it back to sync. But for now, we're going to keep it at this. So 16th for left and right. If we solo the hi-hats before, after. Now the loop feels like it's a bit more active. There's a bit more movement in the entirety of the loop. And if you want to go really creative, what you can do is also create an audio track beneath your 16th grooves here and hit resampling, record. Then we can solo both of these layers and record what we have previously created. Okay, that should be enough. I'm gonna cut the loop here and duplicate whatever we have just recorded into here. Disable our previous layers, and you can add crazy effects. Ableton has a lot of effects like this grain delay, for example. Awesome. So let's stick with this loop that we have so far. Regroove. Next step is to add tom grooves. And what I'd like to do for tom grooves is create a MIDI track. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-T. So we create a MIDI track down here. And then we're going to look for a few nice low sounding toms. Also have a few of them in this free beta pack. Like a really nice and short sound. Going to drag that into this panel here. Select our loop section and hit Control-Shift-M. Zoom in a bit. Cool, and just figure out which notes fill our groove the best. Right click 16th. I'm gonna take this section, really simple, and duplicate it. And then for the last little section, we can take this one away. And then duplicate this till the end. Awesome. Okay, and for the regroove loop that we previously created, I want to pitch it down so it matches the pitch of my tom groove. So I'm going to transpose it here. Awesome. The next tip is one that is certainly one of my favorites. Add some noise, add some textures to your track. If it feels empty, that's most likely because it doesn't feel natural yet. And you can create that natural vibe by putting in elements that you usually wouldn't put in, like a noise texture or an ambient sound, a recording of, let's say, a forest. You can always dial that into the background of your mix, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to create an audio track by hitting Control-T, and now let's look for some noise-ish textures. And for that, I'm going to go into the Daydreamer Organic House Production Suite. I have a few of those sounds inside here. Atmosphere, Organic Textures. I like this one a lot. Slowly mix it in. Awesome. What I'd like to do from now is add in some shakers. So I'm going to head into this free beta pack over here again and look for a shaker loop. That sounds nice. Let's put in this one here. Reduce the volume a bit. We can also go through other shaker sounds. Oh yeah, this one's nice. Nice, short, snappy. Can also change the warp mode to beats. Preserve transients, one-shots. Make it really snappy. Remember the loops that we created beforehand. You can always re-enable them, and we can actually check if we can find another sound that fits well, maybe a lower one. Let's keep this one in mind. This is perk 14. I like this one. This sounds really subtle. What we can do is add in a reverb. So I'm just reusing the elements that I created from before to create another type of groove. Remove some of the lows here. You can also create these up and down patterns with velocity. So you can also create a groove that sounds something like this, up and down, like a zigzag. And then what we're going to do is take this groove, duplicate it till the end. So you've created your very own texture, very own background loop. If I'd like to move on to, let's say, the melodic part of the track, add in some type of melodic atmospheric texture to the background. So what we're going to do is go into this little folder called Atmosphere and choose Atmos, Swell, and Synths. I'm going to choose this sound actually. See if we can just take a small section, right? Don't want to take the whole sample. We want to create something that sounds our very own. I always use Control E to chop the sample. I'm just going to take this little section over here, which is exactly 1 bar, duplicate it till the end, reduce the volume. Let's see how that sounds. You can do this for your other samples as well. So you can take this swell, for instance, and take this little section over here. You can also highlight and hit Control E. That also chops up the sample. Can also do this for these sounds over here. Yeah, this one's cool. I like this. I'm gonna add a delay so it doesn't feel too wobbly. And add an auto filter to make it a background sound. That's how we create full and complex sounding drum grooves using very simple and easy methods. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It does help me grow and it provides me the opportunity to give you more content like this. And if you like this pack and the project file, feel free to head down into the description below and grab them there. Cheers. Peace.